Welcome to the Fatherhood Festival Field in Canton, Ohio, where tonight, for the first time ever, the two-time defending champion Florida Storm come into Canton, Ohio, to try to knock off the Classics in a rematch of a classic championship game from season 22, in which Florida pulled off the upset and knocked off the undefeated Classics. Alongside Charles Doherty, I'm Cameron Irvine, Rochelle Colston, Tyler Falk in our stats truck, and Tyler and Curtis are back at studios for halftime and postgame. Charles, good evening. This is a heavyweight fight, two strong teams looking for another title in season 23, and this is a big litmus test here tonight.
I don't know what a litmus test is, but yes, it is.
Honestly, me either, Charles. That's just something people say.
I'm just messing with you. No, these are two powerhouses, two of the top three teams in the league. You know, the thing I would be worried about if I were offensive coordinator of either team is protecting my quarterback. Both of these teams know how to get through the offensive line blocking and hitting the quarterback a lot during the game. So I think the OL that digs their heels in and keeps the quarterback clean, I think is going to win this.
In the previous three meetings, the winning team has never scored more than 24 points. We expect some defense, long drives, running the football, and old school style tonight as Canton will take a knee in the end zone and bring the ball out to the 20-yard line. Charles, the two most efficient quarterbacks in terms of completion percentage we will see tonight, including Scar Patterson completing 63% of his passes this season, second in the SFL. T-Pat knows what a litmus test is in the chat. Of course he does. 1st and 10 at the 20. Play fake. Scar Patterson. He will roll out. Fire deep. There is an early flag. And the officials are looking to make themselves known in tonight's contest. That'll move the football up the field for Canton, getting it on their own 44-yard line.
Cam, I wouldn't be surprised if we see more of those penalties tonight. Both of these on both sides, both of these defenses are very aggressive. And the thing about Florida that Canton needs to be aware of, if they probably already are, but they send heat from every position on defense. Last week, their safeties were really involved in the pass rush. Let's see if they keep doing that tonight.
They circle Ryan Davidson, but it looked like Andrew Francis was the one that impeded the receiver. This is a flip outside to Robert Johnson. Johnson's got a lot of space, and a first down to the Florida 40-yard line. Canton does not spend a ton of time throwing their backs out of the backfield, but Johnson's got his 9th grab of the season.
Yeah, definitely they don't. I mean, they another contrast between Florida and Canton. Canton relies on giving the ball to the halfbacks, having them run straight up, off tackle as well. Don't pass to them a lot, but when they do, they're very effective.
Florida and Canton run two of the more unique offenses in the SFL. Canton is typically an extremely ground and pound team. Robert Johnson, Logan Lee, a key 1-2 punch for them as Lee picks up a yard. The Florida Storm offense is very dynamic out of the backfield. They throw to their backs a lot, and they mix things up in the pass game a little bit more down the field as well. That's a 1-yard pickup for Lee. You see the starting lineups, offense and defense, scrolling at the bottom of your screen. This is Canton in Florida territory, and Robert Johnson breaks through a couple of tackles. That pass, or that toss in the backfield, nearly broken up by Deontay Stonefield, the defensive end.
Canton puts on a clinic blocking on those outside runs. One of the things that Florida's going to need to do is figure out, get advantage of lanes and angles to that running back coming out of the backfield. If they just try and go head-to-head with those blockers, they're going to have a hard time.
Play fake again from Patterson. He's got a lot of time, and that pass is incomplete. Looking for Andrew Gibson. That pass broken up by Adam Jones, and Canton's first drive will stall out, I believe, just outside of field goal range. They'll probably punt here.
Yeah, and, that one penalty didn't really cause a lot of pain there for Florida. They were able to, dig their heels in and get settled down and stop Canton on this first drive.
This punt is going to be caught down inside the 5-yard line. I believe they will mark it down where the ball was possessed. And yeah, Florida at the 2-yard line will start their opening drive. A heck of a special teams play to pin Ron Cochran back, who's number 1 in the SFL in completion percentage, a whopping 68%. will send Caleb Giffus in motion. Looks like man coverage here for Canton. He's followed across the formation. The handoff goes to Art Vandelay to start the game. Of course, Charles, that famous championship game implemented a new rule. Vandelay out of the backfield this season, just 26 carries, which is less than he had in that championship win.
Good thing about the blocking for Florida is last week they were able to keep Ron Cochran clean and also open up some pretty decent holes for their running back, and you need that type of advantage where you're deep in your own hole.
Boletsky, 75 carries this season, but 39 catches. He is a very diverse running back, and he gets a carry here for the first down, dragging Kanye Rockefeller all the way down to the 17-yard line, and Florida has quickly erased their field position issues.
Yeah, good blocking. I mean, both of these teams, textbook blocking. I think we're going to see some pretty amazing head-to-head matchups on that in the trenches there between the defensive line and the offensive line.
Florida debuting some new Storm 934 uniforms tonight to let you know where they're from in terms of an area code in Florida. And most people don't realize they're out of Fort Lauderdale as Giffus goes in motion again. Cochran has yet to throw a pass on the opening drive. 2 runs for 17 yards. Here's his first pass, caught by Vandelay with one hand, but then cut down by Zachary Hamburger, the cornerback, for a loss of 1.
They overloaded the rush at the top of the screen there, started off with 3 down linemen, and the key to that is the cornerback, Zachary Hamburger, showing some discipline, staying in the lane where he needs to be and closing down that gap.
Canton's defense shifts into something else. 2nd and 11, 3 minutes into the ball game. And more motion out of this Florida offense. They sent Art Vandelay. Canton's playing a lot of man early on. Cochran to throw. Cochran pump fake, got to get rid of it, and is sacked. Mark Gronick with the takedown, and it'll be 3rd and long coming up for the Storm after the TFL.
Got to get, especially when they're bringing heat like that from Canton, you got to get rid of the ball quickly. Not sure why he just didn't dump it off to his halfback out of the backfield. He was thinking about it, but just decided to do a pump fake. I think if he had to do that again, he would have done something different.
Cochran not known for holding the ball too long. 200 attempts this season, just 4 sacks, which is 4th fewest in the SFL. Cochran's pass had a man open, Charles, underneath. I think he missed him. Went for it all, and now it's 4th down.
I believe that was Vandelay wide open in the middle, but man, I didn't see a defender around him.
954 is the area code. So typo on my end. Thank you, Mighty. Marcus Agrippa, the punter for Florida, will boom that one to Canton. That is a great kick to the 40. Gibson's got a little bit of room to return up to the Canton 47-yard line, and the Classics will start their 2nd possession on offense. They are 2.5-point favorites tonight. Over under of 38.5. Both teams have one loss, Charles. Florida lost last week, and Canton lost the first week to Baltimore.
Yeah, but last week, one of the things they need to clean up on for Canton is they gave up 5 sacks, and can't let Scar get hit that much in a game. You got that offensive line, normally pretty good throughout the season, needs to tighten it up a bit tonight.
We'll start with 3 outside. I think that's Talon Steele in the slot looking to block. And that is Bill Cherry with a stiff arm and a first down. Creative play calling there from Canton, getting Steele out wide, and that helps them pick up another move of the chains.
It's so hard to stop Canton on that toss play. Like I said in the first series, their offense is so great at blocking on the outsides. They're getting big lanes for the running back to choose.
Both offense is very diverse. 5 different players have 1 carry in this first quarter. The handoff goes to Logan Lee. He'll pick up 4 to set up a 2nd down and 6. Gets helped up by a teammate.
I think we're they'll probably wind up going for the end zone here, but I would suspect we're going to see some more of the run up the middle and on the outside here. They're right on the edge of field goal territory, and so far, Florida hasn't shown a way to stop this run. Canton
has certainly won the field position battle so far, and there is exactly what you were looking for, Charles, a way to stop the run, and that's Andrew Francis one-on-one.
He's not the biggest safety out there, but man, he is very disciplined and textbook tackler.
Francis, 1,430 tackles now, 8th all-time in the SFL. Bill Cherry breaks off a one and picks up the first down. Bill Cherry off to a strong start tonight for the Classics.
I think one of the scariest things for a defensive coordinator at the top of the list is a fullback that can catch out of the backfield, because if it's one-on-one on the edge there, the fullback's going to knock down that defensive back every time.
Patterson, another draw. This is to Robert Johnson, and he lost a yard to set up a 2nd and 11. Canton flirting once more with field goal range, but Florida trying to tighten up. Dallas Knowles, the development player, has had a nice season, makes the stop. Knowles with 4 sacks, along with his teammate Deontay Stoneville, 12th in the SFL. Coming into the one-game week. Play action again from Patterson. Patterson across the field, incomplete. It would seem, Charles, like they're trying to get him some more time outside the pocket, but this secondary's lethal. Daniel Wright with the pass breakup.
I mean, you can't argue the play call, and you get a handful of successful runs like that, run the play action. You're expecting the defense to maybe bite on it, but Florida's very disciplined, and they look like they were waiting for that.
3rd and 11 out of the empty. Scar's got to get rid of it against some pressure. That pass was nearly hauled in by Talon Steele, but there's Francis again to lock it down. So Canton's first 2 possessions get into Florida territory on the fringe of field goal range. We'll see if they try from 49 in a tie game. Yeah, they will.
That would be N's longest of the season. His longest was 48, and that was last week, I believe.
From 49 yards, Rob Ems got it. A new season long, and Canton gets on the board first. 3-0 thanks to great field position off a stellar punt.
Well, they showed that their running game worked. I mean, they stalled out a little bit there in the red zone, but it showed us everything, Cam. Off tackle, pitch plays, draw plays, runs up the middle, trap plays. We've seen everything. ISOs. Nothing left to show us.
We'll see how Florida responds. Has to feel pretty good about their defense standing tall. That on the return was Bobby Tarantino. Ron Cochran, a rare sight to see. Negative passing yardage in a quarter. We'll start from the 26.
Yeah, I think that'll change pretty quickly there. And he just like Canton, they've got a lot of talent in their backfield as well between Letsky and Komisak.
3:44 to go in the first quarter. 2 teams feeling each other out in the early going. Played a tremendous championship game in season 22 in front of, at one point, nearly 300 people. Kanye Rockefeller with a TFL there on Bullet sets up 2nd and 11.
They started with the 3-down line, and the 3-down linemen, 1 or 2 of them, it looks like they took 2 offensive linemen and were able to allow their linebackers to get in there and make the tackle.
Giffis in motion again here. Canton mixing things up. They've got 6 on the line. 8 in the box. Everybody's coming after Ron. They leave Ron Haynes in one-on-one coverage, and he's able to haul in the catch fresh off an injury in his last game. Sets up a 3rd and 2.
He's a weapon. I mean, a great target there for Cochran, and a pretty smart decision to do that quick drop, get rid of the ball quickly against that aggressive defense.
Haynes' 18th catch of the season. The handoff goes to Chris Komisak for the first time tonight, and he's actually short. Brought down by DJ Kilgannon. His second tackle, and Florida's going to have to punt this football. That's a heck of a stop, and Florida's actually going to challenge.
I think that's pretty smart there of Art to throw the flag on that one. I think he crossed.
Take a retroactive look at the play presented by Retroid. SFL console, GoRetroid.com. Charles, on first glance, I actually didn't think he crossed, but
okay,
let's get another look at it.
Maybe not.
Well, that's with forward progress. You really couldn't tell on either of those, really. Yeah, you may be right, Charles. Now, are they going to give him a first down? Yeah, they are. Well, you called it on first glance. We didn't get a good look on the replay, but Art Vandelay's happy, and Florida's drive will continue.
And no partial right for me, Cam. I want full credit on that one.
Oh, for sure. Full credit. If it was 4th and inches, it would have been partial credit. But no, total full credit to you, sir.
Thank you. Man, that feels good.
Hand off to Beletsky. Picks up 4. We'll set up a 2nd down and 6. Beletsky getting some more touches early on in the game out of the backfield maybe than he's used to. That's already 3.
Yeah, I think it's smart for Florida maybe go to more of that running out of the 3 wide receiver sets because it spreads the defense out and they're not able to the extra guys into this to do the run blitzing.
2:08 to go in the first quarter. Cochran dropping back to pass. He will fire down the middle, looking for Ron Haynes. That is incomplete. Kanye Rockefeller causing some traffic. 2 tackles, a TFL, and a deflection now. 3rd and 6.
That was just good coverage downfield, Cam. Nothing more to say. I mean, Ron Haynes, maybe you could argue maybe the ball came out a little late at Cochran's hand, but he was well covered.
Haynes now in the backfield. Cochran back to pass. He got absolutely crushed. Was trying to set up Haynes on a fullback screen, but just couldn't get rid of it in time. Canton with another stop.
Yeah, Brackett hit that edge quickly. Right at the snap, he was past the tackle and made beeline straight for Cochran and disrupted that play.
Florida in their bag tonight early. Doesn't result in anything. They still have not crossed the 50. They'll punt this away to Gibson past the 20 to the 23-yard line. And quickly getting down the field was Adam Jones on special teams to make the stop. Strong start for Canton. Now with 24 passing yards and 21 rushing yards early on.
I don't think we're going to see a whole heck of a lot different than what we saw on that last series. I mean, they were very effective running out of the backfield as well as those short to mid-range passes. Excuse me.
Handoff. Logan Lee breaks a tackle and picks up 4. There is not a receiver in this game with a single receiving yard. So far, Vandelay is the only receiver with a catch, and he lost a yard. Second and 6. As the war in the trenches continues here on the Monday Night Spectacular of Week 9, Robert Johnson will pick up a couple more. Jesus Smith on the stop. 3rd and 4 coming up.
That's the kind of stop you got to make on those Canton running backs. They're strong, great at breaking tackles. Once you touch them, you got to hold on and don't let go.
3rd and 4. Canton, 1 of 3 on 3rd downs, as is Florida. Ryan Owens in motion.
At the top of the screen. I think. Sorry.
Patterson fires. That is caught by Owens. You were looking at a matchup at the top of the screen, Charles?
Yeah, I was looking like they were sending a blitzer, and they did, but it was it was picked up perfectly by the blocking scheme at the top there.
There you go. Got another look at it. That was Andrew Francis coming in on the pressure.
And I just got a demerit for talking over you.
No, you did not. What a goofball. I'm glad you pointed it out because, I'm sure Scar would have been happy to have that in his helmet as well. 1st and 10, 25 seconds to go in the first quarter. Play fake going the other way. Scar Patterson sets his feet, has time, deep ball, incomplete. He just simply has not been able to squeeze the balls into his receiver's hands deep down the field. Yeah,
I mean, it was a great pickup of the blitz, ran the opposite side, just well covered downfield. His only option was just to get rid of the ball or run with it, but hey.
2nd down, Scar's off to a 3-for-7 start. Patterson to pass again against some pressure, and that ball hauled in by Ryan Owens, his 2nd grab on the drive. Good for 10 and a 1st down.
right at the first down marker, able to turn around there and get both his mitts on the ball while Evan Carroll just laid into him.
That is the end of the first quarter. Florida nothing, Canton 3. The Classics off to a solid start as both teams try and figure out how to stay with one loss as the season hits the back nine, so to speak, Charles. Both towards the top of the standings. Canton's had one extra bye than Florida, so they trail the Storm. Both teams trail Arizona, who is the league's lone unbeaten, and we'll get back into action next week. Owens chased by Davidson. Owens has been the top target for Scar on this drive. Hand off to Logan Lee. Breaks a tackle, has running room. One man to beat. Breaks that tackle. Logan Lee is gone. Touchdown, Canton. Lee's 5th touchdown of the season on the ground.
We talked earlier about Canton running back's ability to break tackle, and that was a perfect example. The defenders had a chance to bring him down, and he just powered through right at the line. Looks like someone wrapped their arm. Maybe two people tried to wrap their arms around him, but Logan Lee just kept on plowing through, and Davidson had a chance as well. And Logan Lee wasn't having any of that. I'll meet you in the end zone.
Florida got aggressive. They were sending a lot of pressure, man coverage against the board, and Logan Lee breaks off that tackle for a 48-yard touchdown run, and that 48-yarder is Logan Lee's longest run since October 23rd, 2023, when he had a 78-yard ripper against the Vancouver Legion. So Lee is back in the record books, and he picks up a 10-0 lead for the Classics.
That just, the defensive coordinator's nightmare. You have your defender there in the right spot to make the play, and the offensive player just powers through.
Lee had 508 rushing yards coming into the game. That was 6th best in the SFL. Now it's up to Florida, who has not crossed the 50 yet tonight. Cochran's 2 for 5, just 8 yards. The backfield trying to get going as well. They'll start it with, man, that lineman is so beefy up front, Charles. I couldn't even see who had the ball. Art Vandelay loses 2 yards. I'm sure Art Vandelay was enemy number 1 on the Canton scouting report this week after last season, Charles.
Oh, definitely. They had a meeting and said he will not run like he did on us last time.
4 receivers. Ron fires. That is caught a little bit behind Tarantino, but he will drag a defender to the 25-yard line to set up a more manageable 3rd and 5.
One of the things that I wouldn't be surprised if we see a little activity passing the ball to Komisak out of the backfield.
Komisak 11 receptions and a receiving touchdown as well this season. Cochran going to take off and run. Howdy squeezed through that. Lost the ball. Picked up by a big man for a 1st down. I don't think they would have had the first without it. Joseph Wade recovers the fumble and gets the 1st down.
Yeah, you don't often see those big hog mollies able to scoop the ball up so easily like Wade did, but man, he saved the drive for Florida.
Joseph Wade along with Greg McDonaldson, Randy Fatt as well on the line. They are the stars up front here for Florida, who catches a break at the 33-yard line. Handoff to Bullet Boletsky, and he is pushed backwards. DJ Kilgannon with his 4th tackle leads the team.
Whoever was assigned to block Kilgallen whiffed, just ran right by him, and just let him wide open in that lane to stop the play.
Canton already with 4 TFLs tonight. Cochran again has to get rid of it quickly, and it's Stephen Bush's first catch of the night. Bush with 28 grabs, first among receivers on this team to set up a 3rd and 6.
We're seeing a lot of pressure there by the Canton defense. They're overloading the blitz on either side, and so far Florida hasn't been able to come up with a pretty good scheme to keep them just from disrupting the play.
Dime look for Canton, third down. They dump it short. Tarantino had to get it, and it was almost like Canton was playing the first down line. Kevin Brackett with the stop, and again, Florida's offense stalls out in their own territory.
There was a good counter play there after going aggressive there on that last play. Just sit back and have that soft zone coverage and let the ball come to them, and they just nailed them right before he could get a first down.
Deep kick from the 16-yard line, and Gibson returns it up to the 23. 7:14 to go in the first half. All classics so far.
Yeah, all classics, and they got to figure out a way to stop Logan Lee. He's been, he ate his Wheaties this morning. Let's just say that. 57
yards on his first 4 carries. Logan Lee has more yards than Florida does in the first half. Toss out to Robert Johnson. He'll scoop up 3, tackled from behind on pursuit, 2nd and 7.
Like I said last series, they really don't need to change a whole heck of a lot on their game plan for Canton. I mean, Florida hasn't shown an answer at all to stop that running.
2nd and 7, handoff to Logan Lee, breaks another tackle, and he's in the open field again. Lee past the 50 to the 45 for another Canton first down.
Yeah, that is eye-opening. The defensive coordinator for Florida has got to figure out, maybe put some hard coverage there on the outside to keep them from getting those big gains on those outside runs.
84 yards on 5 carries, and it's almost, I mean, I understand why they're thinking this, Charles. I mean, their DBs are some of the best in the league. Maybe they can handle Logan Lee one-on-one, but so far that's been a mistake. 80 yards after contact for Logan Lee, who's on fire here at Fatherhood Festival Field as the handoff goes to Johnson to pick up 4.
I mean, you've got a whole bag of tricks there in the backfield for Canton, so Logan Lee can take a rest, and Robert Johnson is going to pick up the slack, and Bill Cherry as well.
Second and 6. Toss nearly taken away by Mississippi, and Lee will get no gain. Daniel Wright cleans it up. That's the risk, Charles, that you run on these tosses to the outside. Sometimes if teams are sending outside pressure, it can get real scary.
Yeah, you can also set it up, though, a fake pitch and do a rollout like Scar likes to do, and he'll have plenty of time on the opposite side of the field.
Patterson to throw on a deep third down, caught by Talon Steele into the red zone. Adam Jones with the stop. Now everybody contributing for Canton. They are feeling it in the first half.
We talked about Ron Haynes being a weapon for his quarterback. Talon Steele, he leads the team with 3 touchdown receptions, and for a guy that big, he's very agile and able to turn around at the last second. 6'7", 263. He's catching it like he's 6'3", 225.
First down and 10. Florida needs some sort of answer. Al Dillapre Sr. goes in motion. He was hurt last week as well and has been quiet. No targets so far. This is Patterson going opposite side. He actually put that ball in a pretty nice spot for Ryan Owens. Just could not corral it. 2nd and 10.
I think if I were on the Canton side, I'd go back to the run game here and force them to stop them because, like we said, Florida hasn't shown an ability to stop them on that outside.
2nd and 10 for Canton. They'll go back to the draw game to Johnson. Look at Robert Johnson, 6 yards, just carrying Ryan Tobin, a grown man, inside the 15 or inside the 10-yard line.
Right after incompletion, it's great to run a draw play, and he's looking at a 3rd and 4.
Bill Cherry's your fullback. He's got 2 catches tonight for 18 yards. They'll give it off to Lee instead, and he just as easy as you please, Charles. Only had 1 guy to stop him, and Canton's all over Florida in the first half.
Yeah, Logan Lee is hungry tonight, and that offensive line as well. They've been blocking like all pros all night. Let's look at this run here. Look at the hole in the middle there. It's incredible. I'm surprised anyone even had a chance to touch it.
16-0 here in the early going. Florida gave up 35 points last week, so now 52 points in the last 6 quarters. But before last week, they had only given up 48 points all season. So 52 in the last 6 quarters, 48 in their first 6 games. Defense continues to struggle, and now the offense is desperate for an answer before the half.
And we need to see a ray of light there in the passing game for Florida. We talked about the halfbacks being passed to from out of the backfield. I think they need to look at that or come up with something creative to get the ball moving.
Caleb Giffis on this return, and not much room. Zach Hamburger with another tackle out to the 22-yard line. Wow, this, Charles, I got to admit, I mean, Canton's at home. They are slightly favored. Both teams have a loss, but I wasn't expecting a 17-0 start to this one.
I wasn't either. I mean, they're just on fire and running a great game plan so far.
2 in the backfield for Cochran. Hands it off to Beletsky. He picks up 2. That is Gronick with the stop.
And they've made the decision for the Canton defense to be very aggressive, and so far, Florida hasn't shown an ability to consistently protect their quarterback and running backs out of the backfield.
2nd and 8. Cochran to throw, and takes 3 steps and fires to Ron Haynes. They're going to mark him for a first down. That may get challenged. Charles, you can tell that part of Florida's game plan was to get the ball out of Ron's hands pretty quickly, knowing that Canton loves to bring the heat.
And who else to throw it to than Ron Haynes? He's great on those short routes. It's out of that move to the outside quickly, and is right there to catch the ball and get the ball moving down the field.
Haynes leads the team in receiving yards and targets so far tonight. And Beletsky only gets 2. Florida does not have a play yet tonight on offense, Charles, of more than 10 yards. Brackett on the tackle.
Yeah, it looks like they've made a couple changes, getting Ron Haynes a little bit more involved. I mean, they need to keep going to the well there and getting guys like Haynes and Beletsky and Kumasak out of the backfield, I think.
Giffis goes in motion. 3 minutes to go in the first half. They'll flip it outside. This is Kaysen, and that's not going to do much against this hefty defense. Gronick and Rockefeller on the stop. 3rd and 8.
It's early in the game, Cam, but they got to get a first down here. If they give the ball back to Canton, that Canton offense is on fire.
Shotgun here for Cochran with 4 wide receivers. Cochran escapes, fires. It is short. Stephen Bush with the catch. I think that's a good spot. Florida's drive's going to end again.
Yeah, it was his back. It looked like his back was to the chains. The ball was short of the line. Let's see if I'm 2 for 2.
Coach Vandalay might lose this one. Let's take a retroactive look at the play. Brought to you by Retroid.
Yeah, no way.
Yeah. I'm not seeing it. Maybe.
Yeah. Maybe just.
I mean, for a split second there, the football was ahead of him.
You could argue if he had control of it, though.
Yep. And that is a timeout burned by Florida, although pretty good challenge, all things considered. You're probably not going to get the ball back here in the second quarter, so those timeouts not going to do you any good. But Florida, I believe now, Charles, is out of challenges here on the road, down 17.
Yeah, and Canton is built to run the clock out, so I don't expect Florida's going to touch it again this half.
Playing right into the Canton Classics game plan. Nearly a penalty there. Otherwise, well, we have an injured player. Oh, it's Kaysen. That's a big deal Charles, the backup running back, Florida does not have a lot of running back depth. Playing special teams gets hurt. Canton will start from the 13-yard line, but Florida nearly got a penalty for interfering with that catch on the punt.
Yeah, you have to have nerves of steel to be a returner in this league.
Florida's drives tonight, 11, 14, 21, 19 yards. They have failed to reach the 50. Handoff to Logan Lee, who's been the star of the first half. He picks up 5. Coming up on the halftime report, a recap of the first half from Canton. What is different between these two teams this time around? How realistic is Arizona's chance of finishing the regular season undefeated? All this and more on the SFL Monday Night Spectacular Halftime Show with Tyler Falk and Chris Curtis coming up after our halftime or our first half recap here in the booth. Charles Doherty, Cameron Irvine, Rochelle Colston, Tyler Falk on in our stats truck tonight. Canton not expected to get too aggressive here, but Bill Cherry is going to get him the first down at the 24-yard line.
Yeah, I mean, Florida going into the locker room, they're going to have to think about putting extra people up there on the line, especially on the edge. They got to do something to slow Canton down.
1:36 left. Canton's going to try to give well, no, they are going to pass here. Scar going long. That pass is caught by Dillapre to the 49-yard line. So Canton actually may be able to get something out of this first half or end of first half drive, which would be haunting for the Storm.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good way to lull the defense to sleep. You hammer them up the middle, get them thinking you're going to run the clock out, and then just sneak that wide receiver deep. Now they're not too far out of field goal range. A couple another first down or two, and they should have a shot at 3 at least.
Logan Lee dropped for a loss. Timeout Canton. That is probably the biggest surprise of this first half, the way that Lee's been running. Patterson is up to 100 yards, 6 for 11.
Curious to see what they do if they keep trying to press it down the field, or maybe let Logan, do his magic. He's been some pretty long runs in all day.
Dillapre goes in motion. Play action. Patterson fires. Another dangerous ball, but it was thrown to the sideline, Charles. Didn't have a chance of getting intercepted, 3rd and 11.
Yeah, I mean, and maybe you had a shot there, maybe getting PI, move the ball deep, yep. And I don't necessarily hate that play.
Yeah, good point. Already 1 PI on Florida tonight. 3rd and 11. Patterson out of the empty, nearly. Oh, he threw an interception. I think the pressure got to Scar there. Evan Carroll with the interception. The blocks on the exterior of that line, Charles, were not very good.
Makes his 5th interception of the year, and I thought the protection was decent for Scar, but maybe it's one thing to say that up here in the booth and standing there on the field when you hear the the hoofs hitting on the deck. Maybe he didn't throw quite the way he wanted it to.
I think as soon as the ball was snapped to me, I would be in a full-blown panic.
Neil.
What happened to 5 Mississippi? 1st and 10 on the 45. Let's see what Ron Cochran can do with it. Tried to flip it out to Comisac. The timing looked a little off. 2nd down.
Well, I would love for them to try that again, though, because I think that'll work. The execution was a little spotty.
He looked open. It was almost like Ron rushed it a little bit.
Yep. I could have run the wrong route, too.
Yep, 2nd and 10.
Cochran, the Hall of Famer.
2 timeouts for Florida. They lost one on that challenge. Cochran's pass caught by Haynes to the Canton 41-yard line. Timeout, Florida.
Just like that. I mean, they're gonna prove me I'm wrong. They have a chance of putting points on the board. I really thought that Canton was going to run the clock out on this.
Yeah, and here I was saying, they don't need that timeout. They're not going to get the ball back. I was wrong. 3 down lineman for Canton. Brackett showing pressure off the outside. He comes with it. It's picked up. Cochran's pass is picked off. Picked off by Joshua Durboletsky. Makes the tackle at the 44-yard line. And if you bought a ticket in the end zone, you're pretty disappointed with how these last 2 minutes have gone as they continue to play no you take it inside the 40s.
That was Boletsky that made the stop?
Yeah.
Yeah, holy smokes. That could have been one of the tackles of the day. If Florida needs to stay in this game, you need to count on somebody like Boletsky keeping him from getting in the end zone, because I thought he was going to run and dance in the end zone. I didn't think there was anyone there to stop him.
Yeah, and you could see there were two big offensive linemen, and that was it in front of Joshua Durr. So if somehow Florida does come back and win this game, we're going to look back at that Bullet Boletsky tackle on the interception as a big game changer. Logan Lee gets 4, and now Canton is thinking, well, maybe we can get something out of this drive. They have 1 timeout left.
I mean, I wouldn't push it if I were them. I think I think it's okay for them to rest on their laurels, at least for this first half.
Split backs in the backfield. Canton looking to get greedy. As Patterson fires, nearly intercepted. Looking for Dillapre Sr., 3rd and 6.
Yeah, they dodged the bullet on that one, Cam.
They're playing with fire here right now, Charles.
We've got orange slices waiting for you, nice and cold in the locker room.
I mean, you're up 17-0 against the 2-time defending champs. Sometimes just take the win. 3rd and 6. Steele's going to go in motion. Classic's not letting this one go.
It's from the top.
Here comes the pressure. Patterson dumps it off to Bill Cherry, tackled from behind. And Adam Jones puts an end to that drive. Another fantastic play from Jones.
Yeah, it started with the quick run through the seam there for the defender at the top of the screen. I think it forced him to get rid of the ball a little too early.
Charles Brown to punt, although he doesn't have to snap it. Probably will. Deep kick, maybe Canton can recover a fumble. No, that's actually just going to bounce into the end zone. And that will be an unceremonious end, eventually, to the first half. Canton 17 and Florida nothing. Wow, what a start for the Canton Classics. And what a first half, Charles. Your first reactions?
Well, I mean, it's been the Logan Lee show. Over 100 yards here in the first half. And this game is not going the way I expected it. I mean, Canton just came out firing on all cylinders. They did what they do best, run the ball, block, textbook blocking. And Florida, so far, they don't have an answer. That's what halftimes are for. You have to go in there, throw some things around, get your defense fired up, and figure out a way to stop that rushing game of Canton.
Look at Patterson's numbers, 7 of 15. There's Lee's official 10 for 98 in the first half. The defense has a sack and an interception. Canton 17, Florida nothing in a shocking first half in a season 22 championship rematch. And we'll be back for the halftime report and the second half after this break from Breaks GPT.
We just pulled a full-size Taylor Swift helmet. Shout out to all our Swifties. Travis Kelce. This is a Giants Lawrence Taylor.
Patrick Mahomes.
Chad Johnson with the Ocho Cinco.
We have a Drew Brees.
Is that an O.J. Simpson jersey?
It's an Aaron Rodgers.
Oh my goodness.
Tom Brady! Tom Brady!
And with that, a 17-0 scoreline at the end of the first half is how it looks right now. Canton up on the 2-time defending champs Florida Storm in Fatherhood Festival Field. I'm alongside Tyler Falk. I'm Chris Curtis. And Tyler, a game that looks very different from the last time these two teams met. Scar Patterson hasn't needed to be great. He's got Logan Lee behind him, and Logan Lee's been doing a bunch of the grunt work today.
Yeah, absolutely. He's been the catalyst for this offense. He's been able to not only just knock off the big runs, but just in general get away from everyone in particular in these little nitty-gritty runs, which set up first down opportunities for Canton. They get in some really good down and distances early, which keep the momentum driving. Florida just you can tell something's off, right? Just like just noticing how shiny this man's forehead here is off to my left hand side. I digress. Something's off with Florida. I can't tell whether or not it's the running game, passing game, because the running game's been hit or miss all season long for Florida. The passing game took a hit last week with Ron Haynes going out against Carolina, and it just seems like it hasn't recovered. It seems like they're still trying to figure everything out.
Yeah, which is a far cry from where they were earlier on in the season, where they were kind of world beaters for a lot of the time. People starting to maybe figure out Florida a little bit the way it sits right now, especially after the shocking loss to Carolina just 1 week ago. Ron Cochran hasn't been fantastic. He's sitting at an 8 for 13 with 55 yards on his tally, just a QBR of 38 and a third at the moment with one interception. Got to get him going. He's the veteran. He's the one who makes this Florida Storm engine go. What do they need to do? Is it just a matter of quick passes? Do they force the ball downfield? What's the key for Florida in the second half?
Right now, I think they have to establish some sort of rhythm, whether it be them starting to throw down the football right away to get the defense back on their heels and then following it up with some run plays, or you figure out a different set of run plays to get Charlie Boletsky and Chris Comasat going, because otherwise it's going to be a pretty sore sight. It looks kind of like only their second meeting when Florida was down at home in Fort Lauderdale, 24-10. In that game, they weren't able to really get anything going. And the defense, well, it's come away with a couple plays here late. Hopefully that momentum springs a little bit more creativity from this offense.
All of the rushers for Florida combining for 10 carries and 32 yards approximately so far. That is not going to get it done. That includes one from Art Vandelay, who had a big impact in the championship game. Talking about from one game to the next, let's dive into that, and let's talk about differences between these two teams. Then, where Florida played a complete game and really kind of surprised a lot of people with their strategy per se. This is not just because Art Vandelay isn't rushing the ball 26 times a game. This is something completely different, I think. What are you seeing that's a big difference between the two games?
I think it's timing, and it's you could say it's timing in terms of when they're calling plays, but I'm calling it timing in the season. Canton had their little adversary right at the beginning of the season, losing to Baltimore and going 0-1, signifying that no, it was not going to be yet another unbeaten streak. And so they don't have that pressure anymore. They can continue to push forward and not have to worry about that. It seemed to go on this nice long stretch of winning.
Yeah.
However, on the flip side, Florida is just hitting adversary, losing to Carolina last week, and now again back to back on the road. Games it's really caught them off guard, and really Canton has pounced on them. Whereas Canton, after their first game against Baltimore on the road, they came and were at home the next two games. So it's just timing in the schedule that's really made the difference here today.
Okay, fair enough. And looking ahead, we want to take a look at one of the other teams that are having a really, really good season, and the best season so far amongst the SFL teams. That is the Arizona Scorpions. They are undefeated sitting right now. They have 4 or 5 games left on their schedule, including one against this Florida Storm squad that we're taking a look at tonight. But what I'm going to ask you, knowing what their future opponents look like over the next few weeks, what do you put their percentage, talking about Arizona, at going undefeated through the regular season? I want your opinion, then I'll give mine.
Okay. Well, we got 5 games, so I'm going to give it, maybe a probability of 85%. They go 12-0 throughout this rest of the season. At the same time, it's really going to depend on the game they play in Fort Lauderdale against this Storm. It's the Storm coming off of their bye week here next week to come back home after a 2-game tough road stretch and play this tough Florida team, which again isn't on par tonight. Maybe a second half comeback can really drive things forward. But if they can get past Florida, if they can take advantage of Florida at home, who's now going to have an extra week to prepare for you, that will really signify this is where Arizona is going. Arizona at that point would be a pretty good bet to make it all the way to the SFL championship if they can take down the Storm, I think will be their toughest opponent, followed by Vancouver to end the season in Vancouver.
I am going to put them. Okay, so right now, as it sits, I'm going to put this at a 60% that they go undefeated. If they get past Florida, then that jumps to me at a 90+%. Because I don't think DC, as good as DC is, I don't think they're better than Florida at, when the two teams are at their best. And then Motor City should not hold a candle. And in Vancouver, while they are good, I kind of put them in the same realm, even though they're having a down season. I put them in the same realm talent-wise as a DC when all things are going great. So that's where I'm at. I think that they will come out with wins there if they can get past Florida, which of course is a big ask, especially when you give Mighty extra time to prepare after a bye week. That's going to be a really, really tough game. But okay, any other news and notes for the people before we head back to the game?
I got nothing. I'm looking forward to some more exciting football and to see what happens.
There you go. Looks like Florida's looking for a quick strike to get back into this game. Canton up 17-0 into the end of the first half. And we will see you for post-game. For Tyler Falk, I'm Chris Curtis. Thanks for watching the Monday Night Spectacular Halftime Report. We'll see you after the game.
And welcome back to the start of the second half. We're at Fatherhood Festival Field in Canton, Ohio. Thank you, Chris Curtis, Tyler Falk, back at our halftime studios. We are back with you. Charles Doherty and Rochelle Colston with us. Rochelle Colston, our stats truck. Charles Doherty, my analyst. Bobby Tarantino gets the second half started to the 25-yard line. And here we go, Charles. We'll see what Florida can come out with in the second half and see what they talked about in the locker room.
Yeah, definitely. Need to get some running game and a passing game for that matter for Florida. But I got to give the guys credit there at halftime. Great show. But if I'm going to get a demerit for talking over you, Curtis has to get one for wearing his team jersey. Okay,
I think he actually was wearing a Skippy Curtis jersey. Not his own. So maybe you have to merit. I heard he's a fan. Toss out to Beletsky. That gets no gain. And Canton's off to a strong start in the second half. Break into the world of sports memorabilia collecting with Breaks GPT, featuring signed football jerseys, helmets, photos, and more. Breaks GPT offers you a shot at winning autographed and authenticated sports memorabilia at a fraction of the price. Join the community of collectors on our Breaks GPT Facebook page and lock in your shot at hitting a humongous headliner on our site, breaksgpt.com. That was Art Vandelay's second catch of the night to set up 3rd and 5.
I think that's smart. I think they should show more of that 3 wide receiver sets and run out of it and do those short passes as well. Spreads the defense out.
They do not want to go 3 and out to start this half. They'll try to set up a screen. It was blown up, and Mike All gets the sack. That's exactly what's going to happen to Florida here to start the third quarter.
I mean, he was whatever way he turned, Ron Cochran was going to get hit. Both sides had a defender get past the blocking. It was obviously All, and then on the other side it was Gronick ready to hit him. So, any way we were looking at that, it would have been a sack.
Second sack of the day for Canton, and Florida will have to punt. Their frustrating night continues.
I mean, looking at the stats, their second leading rusher is their guard on that fumble recovery. So clearly can't be happy with the production they're seeing.
This is Florida's 217th game in franchise history. That is 7th all time. They have never been shut out. They scored 6 in a blowout loss at Mexico City in season 19. And that is as close as they've ever gotten. So keep that in mind as we continue on here, because it is very unusual to see Florida with a goose egg on that board this late in the contest. Logan Lee gets 4 on Canton's first drive of the third quarter.
Yeah, the alternative here on the Canton side is, we've said it all night, the running game's been perfect, but their passing game hasn't been hasn't been very solid, but you don't really need to worry too much about it when you've got your number one running back at 101 just starting out the second half.
Handoff Robert Johnson. Johnson is near a first down. Johnson up to 25 yards now, 75 yards away from Canton hitting 2 500-yard rushers and getting some money in their bank.
Yeah, Florida's got it. They've shown a couple aggressive looks. I think they need to stay aggressive here. Almost every play, they got to send extra guys in to try and disrupt this flow.
3rd down and 1. Toss Lee, and look at Florida in the backfield. That was expertly defended. Andrew Francis and company on the stop. A 2-yard loss will set up a punt. That was much needed.
Much needed. Smart play. I mean, you put all your players up there. The big guys do what they need to do and open up the lanes for their safeties to go in and finish it.
Now Florida is going to be pinned back deep again. They have lost field position all night, not being able to get up past midfield. Tarantino will break a couple tackles and will get them decent field position to the 21-yard line, but still a long way to go for Ron Cochran, who's 9 of 14 for just 58 yards.
Yeah, they've. I'm kind of scratching my head. You mentioned this earlier. I have not seen a Florida offense form like this at least while I've been in the league.
I mean, even last week in their 35-20 loss to Carolina, the offense was not necessarily the problem. They just were struggling mightily defensively as Carolina kind of surprised them with their aggressive downfield attack last week. But this is a totally different issue here as Art Vandelay breaks a tackle. He'll pick up 4 on his 3rd carry of the contest, 2nd and 6.
It's still, plenty of options here on 2nd and 6, but I wouldn't try and push it too deep. I mean, going to pass it. I look to Haynes or one of the backs out of the backfield.
6:35 to go in the 3rd. There's still time for Florida. Chris Comasack just could not get to the outside. And Charles, what I'm seeing out of Canton's impressive defense tonight is that, even when you get one broken tackle, there seems to be 2 or 3 other guys there to make the play right away.
They're doing it with a lot of 3-man downline looks, which is impressive.
They flipped it to Vandelay, and he is short of the first down. Florida has to punt again and has no challenges.
Yeah, that's wow. I mean, not sure what to say on that one. It's clearly not in a position where they'd want to go for it on 4th and inches deep in their own territory, but at least they gave some room for their punter to work with.
Marcus Agrippa will boot it away. Deep kick to the 25-yard line. Gibson up to the 31. Florida has no pulse right now. It is baffling. And if they lose this game here tonight, Charles, they will take a tumble down the standings, which is very unfamiliar territory for Florida, at least here recently. They'll fall all the way to 4th, and I know that doesn't sound terrible, but it's still crazy seeing them down in 4th place if that were to occur.
It's only a matter of time. You keep giving the ball to Canton. They're going to go on another one of those long sustained drives and put another 7 up on you.
Yeah, I agree, Charles. They're definitely playing with fire right now, putting a lot of pressure on this defense as Robert Johnson gets 6. Jesus Smith shuts it down. 2nd and 4 for Canton.
I mean, Cherry's got an 8.5 yard per carry, Lee 8.6, and Robert Johnson's teetering on 4 yards per carry. I mean, that's not good for if you're a defense trying to stop the run game.
Handoff Lee, first down. Logan Lee keeps the drive alive for Canton. 5 minutes to go, and maybe this is the start of exactly what you were talking about, Charles.
Yeah, the blocking. Obviously, we all know how great a runner Logan Lee is, but look at that blocking up front. And I say this every time I watch them. It's not just the offensive line. It's everyone on that offensive squad knows how to run block.
Almost knocked Jesus Smith off his feet there. 1st and 10 at the 44-yard line. Patterson on a draw. And Robert Johnson's got no room. Daniel Wright comes out of nowhere to make the TFL 2nd and 11.
I mean, I think that's the answer. You bring a safety up as close to the line as possible on every play to help shut it down if they get past that initial line, your initial line of defenders.
Second down 11 for Patterson in the Classics. Another draw. Logan Lee got a little bit more space. Francis cuts him down. 3rd and 5. Necessary.
I would just go tell Francis you're going to be playing the extra linebacker all for the rest of the night. Thank you.
Canton 4 for 9 on 3rd down. Shotgun split here for the first time. Patterson rolling. Patterson checks it. Nearly intercepted Davidson. So Florida does, in fact, get off the field. They're getting outgained 288-85, but they're hanging around, Charles.
I mean, the defense has shown on a couple series there where they've really were able to force the outcome on the play, and just need to figure out what's working and I guess keep going back for the well. I mean, I like the fact that they bringing Francis up on the line so much. That seemed to be a little bit of a difference.
Deep kick will go into the end zone. That almost died right at the 1-yard line. Fuel your summer with Gutsy Organics new strawberry blueberry prebiotic snacks. Refreshingly delicious and perfect for on the go. Visit GutsyOrganic.com to find your nearest retailer or stop by the freezer section at your local Meijer or Wegmans to pick up some today. That's Gutsy Organic, official sponsor of your Canton Classics. Giffiss in motion. Florida 3 and outs on their first 2 series in the 3rd quarter. Cochran handoff to Beletsky, gets 5.
That's what I was looking for out of that 3 wide receiver set. I think they can take advantage of that on that defense in that 3-down line set.
That is Comisac in the running back spot. Nate LeMay, a primary blocking tight end, in at fullback here. They're going to hand it off behind him. Chris Comisac behind a LeMay block, gets a 1st down.
Yeah, that's something to build on, Cam. I mean, it's not a huge run there, but it's something to build on. Get some momentum going for that Florida offense.
Well, kind of pulling a page out of the Canton book, Charles. They could lull him to sleep and try to get a deep pass against that aggressive defense.
I'm just amazed that Comisac only touched it 3 times.
Yeah, that is surprising as well, Charles. Beletsky gets 2. Kevin Brackett on the stop, his 4th tackle.
Maybe a play-action rollout on this one, Cam. Throw the defense off, an aggressive defense like that.
Yeah, I haven't seen much of that tonight either from Florida, and they have a pretty strong rollout game. Out of the shotgun here for Ron, and Cochran will fire it short, and he threw it behind Art Vandelay, who was open on a crosser. 3rd and 8.
Yeah, there were a couple passes tonight that were very unlike Ron Cochran. I mean,
yeah.
There was one out of the backfield. It might have been a bad route run by the back, and then that one right there was just not. You just don't typically see that from him.
They have really seemed quite disinterested in throwing the ball deep this evening. A couple times on 3rd and long, they've checked it down short. Vandelay goes in motion, 3-by-1 here. Cochran against a blitz, fires it into traffic and incomplete. Ron Cochran seeing ghosts right now. King Jamal with the pass breakup, and Florida punts again.
And hate to pile on, it looked like Stephen Bush was wide open.
Yeah, I agree.
Going across the middle.
That's the 2nd time, but we've seen seemingly just the wrong read by Ron. Ron Cochran just in the 4th quarter of last week's game crossing 55,000 career yards, second only to Julian Tyree all time, who was just inducted in the most recent Hall of Fame class. Gibson gets it out to the 29-yard line, and Ron hasn't played terrible, but there's just no juice in the passing attack. His longest throw is 15 yards to the tight end, Ron Haynes.
Yeah, he's not. I mean, he's around 58% completion percentage. That's way down below what we're used to from Ron.
Yeah, 10 percentage points under his season average, but still a 17-point game. Logan Lee will be stopped by Daniel Wright after a pickup of a short 4. Starting on Friday, we're back at it, Charles. A 12-game slate next week, week 10, 6 weeks left in the regular season. It starts with a flexed-in matchup, 5-2 Nashville at 4-3 Charleston, with Mike Daggs and Gerald Smith on the call. And the nightcap, a big game out in the West Coast that I know you care about as Johnson gets a first down. Vancouver at Albuquerque. Feels like a must-win game for both those squads, and that's how we kick off the week next week.
This is the most exciting time of the season. I mean, so far it's been, since week 1, it's been exciting, but man, you start getting closer to the playoff time where every game counts.
Saturday is headlined by a big game in Lexington. The 4-4 Miners, fresh off their first bye of the season, hosting DC. Bossier City, fresh off a big win on Monday night against Louisiana. They host Baltimore, another big test for the Steamers as Logan Lee picks up 6 more yards. 1:18 to go in the third quarter, Charles, and it's getting late early.
I'm waiting to see Canton on a second down or a third down where they've got more than 4 yards to go. I mean, it looks like they're always in prime real estate there.
Toss, Johnson. Oh, beautiful spin. Wow, on Evan Carroll. This is the drive you were talking about. It feels like maybe Florida's out of chances as Canton's starting to put their thumb right on the back of the head of Florida right now. Lee gets 7.
I mean, that is a nightmare 1-2-3 punch for that backfield of the classics, Johnson, Lee, and Cherry. I mean, wow, you're never going to be going against a tired running back.
Hand off, Johnson. And, as a contrast, Charles, Canton, 3-headed monster, Johnson, Lee, and Cherry. And for Florida, it's kind of a mishmash. You've got Art Vandelay a little bit, Chris Komisak a little bit, but without Boletsky's backup, and Boletsky's backup hurt tonight at the moment, it has been tough sledding. Florida getting blanked in a Season 22 championship rematch. Shocker. We'll be right back.
Of the Simulation Football League is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast, retransmission, or account of the game without the express written consent of the league office is prohibited.
Start of the fourth quarter. 3rd and short here for Canton. Trying to keep the drive alive. Al Dillapre Sr. off the line. They go opposite way to Logan Lee, and Logan Lee has the first down. Ryan Davidson cleans up the play, but not before Lee keeps the drive alive. And this offense now just having to wait. They have 1 first down in the second half, Charles.
Yeah, and Canton's in a perfect spot for them. They're built to be in this type of situation. 9 minutes left, up by 17. It can suck the wind out of the clock, the time off the clock.
They're wide open, Charles. You see that? Talon Steele, nobody covered him. Steele's got a first down on his 3rd catch of the night.
That's the beauty about having I guess by definition, that's the run to set up the pass. I mean, they were so successful in the run, they just weren't expecting to see Steele there running out on a route there.
His 2nd catch, our stats truck, Charles, is so great. They had updated the numbers even before I had looked at the sheet. That is impressive stuff from Michelle and Tyler tonight. Hand off, Robert Johnson. 6 more. 2nd and 4. Florida has no answer. They're out of solutions, it feels like.
I mean, it's like 4 yards, 6 yards, 4 yards, 6 yards, and then they're gonna, do a play action and throw it to the end zone.
5 down linemen here as Florida tries to make their final stand. 24-0's not going to cut it. If they get a field goal, they have an outside shot. 3rd and inches. Ryan Davidson makes the stop, but it's hard to imagine Canton can't pick this up here.
And haven't heard a lot from Ryan. Well, he's got quietly has 7 tackles. Holy smokes. Wow. All right, I take that back. And I get a demerit. Another one.
3rd and inches. Hand off. Johnson, first down. Charles, this is the first drive of the night that has gone over 8 plays. And Canton now has 11 plays, 57 yards, 9 runs.
8 minutes left on the clock.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I hate to say it, Charles, but I mean, unless they get something incredible here in the next 13 yards, as Scar runs a draw to Lee, not much there. I mean, Florida just didn't show up tonight. They just didn't play well. Nothing to write home about.
They have not had an answer at all for that running game. Maybe they were expecting to see something different. Maybe they thought they were going to put it all on a passing game but we really haven't seen that all season from Canton.
Hand off to Lee. Nice tackle there by Smith. He's had a strong night. So 3rd down and 10. Haven't seen that much tonight out of Canton. Again, if they hold them to a field goal, maybe. They're 3rd and 10. This is the play right here.
Yeah, and I'd run it on this, but hey.
They're going empty. Scar. Can he do it when it counts? End zone, incomplete, and Daniel Wright almost took it away. So we will see a Rob Ems field goal attempt, but Florida, for the moment, hangs around some more.
Yeah, that's the type of situation when you have to bring it in. You're down by 17 points, about to go down by at least 20. You got to make a play like that on defense and give your offense a chance to do something.
It may be a blessing in disguise, Charles, because now they get to return a kickoff, which feels more likely to result in a touchdown than maybe an 80-yard drive here tonight. That kick is good. 15 plays, 58 yards. They averaged less than 4 yards a play, but they took a lot of time off the clock, got 3 more points. Now it's 20-0.
Well, the one thing I'll say about Florida, if you're in a situation like that, the one person you want to have lining up behind center is Ron Cochran. I mean, he's been there before, and he can look like a totally different quarterback coming out here.
Caleb Giffis on the kick return, and there's just not a lot of room. Per our stats truck, Charles, we have Florida with 33 offensive plays with 6:50 left. Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy.
33. Florida, 97 yards of offense. 1st and 10 at the 23. Boletsky got some space on the outside. Rockefeller shuts him down, a 6-yard gain.
Yeah, time's not their friend, Cam. They got to be a little bit more quicker getting up to the line, and I think that run was pretty good, but they need to start coming up with some sort of a passing game.
Toss, Kamasak, nothing that Rockefeller again. And you're not going to see that no huddle until about 5 minutes left, but Florida may not even have the ball at that point if they can't pick up this 1st down.
Yeah, and they're letting the clock tick, which is not a good, obviously not a good thing.
Handoff, Kamasak did get the 1st down, so at least Florida maintains possession. Like I said, around that 5-minute mark, you can expect things to hurry up, but it just may be too little too late for Florida.
Yep. That's my great color commentary. Yep.
Hey, man, in a game like this, it's tough to come up with new things to say. Boletsky lost a yard. Just cannot get it going.
Unfortunate. I mean, I'm at the point now where even though they're deep in their own territory, they got to look at going for it on 4th. We got to do something to shake this up.
Ron Cochran fires. That is caught. Stephen Bush, and the drive stays alive. This is, by default, a little bit, Charles, their best drive of the 2nd half.
Yeah, and I think their best catch of the night, and that was for Bush. I mean, Bush was open a couple times going across the middle there. This time, Ron found him.
The last time Florida lost back-to-back games by more than 1 score in a season was season 13. July 28th and August 4th, 2019. They lost to Jacksonville and Mexico City, both on the road. They lost to Carolina by 15 last week. That's a catch by Bush in no huddle. Right now they're down 20-0, but Florida has hit the no-huddle offense. Ron Cochran trying to make something happen, but Kevin Brackett gets the sack. Loss of 5.
I think that's the second time it's a second sack tonight.
Cochran's pass incomplete, 3rd and 15.
Cam, has Florida ever been shut out?
No. 0 shutouts.
Sorry if you already said that.
Just once. If you're just joining us, Florida's never
These demerits are piling up on me.
You're a little rusty, Charles. You had 7 days off.
I know.
3rd and 15.
Curtis has to at least get one.
Ron needs an answer. Caught Vandalay. It is short, and you got to go for it. 4th and 2.
Yeah, definitely got to go for it. I mean,
Rockefeller again.
yeah, he's all over the place.
9 tackles, 2 TFLs. Florida trying not to get blanked. Giffords in motion. Cochran, backside, sacked. Brackett again.
And, wow. I thought that was his 3rd, but it looks like it's only his 2nd.
Charles, the amount of shutouts it's crazy. We had 2 last week, and it looks like Florida may not get any points up here tonight. Surprising.
That's crazy game, Cam. Did not expect this at all.
Hand off to Logan Lee. This has got to be one of the fastest games in franchise history, Charles. We still have Postgame, but I feel like I just got here.
You're going to get an extra hour of sleep.
Yeah, it's a daylight saving. It's great. I mean, Canton has made such quick work of this game. And look, we've talked a lot about Florida's surprising performance here tonight, but talk about Canton getting a huge win for their franchise, beating the 2-time defending champs, getting revenge. Now, it may be a case of they've won the battle, not the war. They might see Florida again in the postseason, but Canton has got to feel extremely good about where they are at as we get close to the postseason. Winners of 6 in a row with only an overtime loss on a 90-yard punt return touchdown from Baltimore in Week 1.
Yeah, Ray Donaldson did a great job on the playbook for Canton, and wow, I mean, Florida's definitely got to go back to the drawing board and figure out something. I mean, you're up against one of the best teams in the league. I think you have to put more on the board than you have tonight.
When Canton lost Frank Bernstein and Evan Lacey out of the secondary, there were people basically saying, well, this Canton team was a one-hit wonder. They will not be back in contention, and behind general manager Mike All and their Canton's ownership group and Ray Donaldson, like you said, Charles, this team is right back in the thick of things and is definitely a championship contender trying to get their first franchise history. 2-minute warning, a stunner here in our lone game of Week 9 here in Season 23.
141 yards, Cam. Holy smokes, what a game. I mean, he put the whole team on his back there in the first half and just set the tone for the rest of the game.
Yeah, he had 90 yards in the snap of a finger, and then Florida finally started getting to him a little bit. You could see how many bodies they've got running at him at this point. But really, tonight's game for Florida was just all about the lack of offensive production. You could tell they wanted to get a short passing game going, Charles, but Ron was just look, he completed 62% of his passes at the end of the day, but he was off target when they needed him the most.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of those passes, a lot of that percentage came up here on the last drive.
Yep. Cherry. It's another carry.
Hey, that rhymes.
I was trying to think of another word that rhymed, and I too much dead air. I just had to kill it.
All right.
Hey, next week, Charles, we got a rematch, another playoff rematch. This is of the overtime quarterfinal game, Minnesota-Houston. I cannot wait to see these teams. That was the best game of the playoffs as Canton just iced this. Florida's out of timeouts. This game is over. Tyler and Curtis coming up. But Minnesota-Houston should be an awesome game. The Headhunters surprisingly 3-4, but they are a very good football team. That should be an awesome one to watch next week.
Yeah, it's going to be great. I mean, both of those teams can put up some fireworks, man, and I hope we see a lot of it that night.
Well, in what might be the shortest game in SFL history, Florida ends up with 42 offensive plays in a 20-0 shutout loss here tonight at Fatherhood Festival Field. The Classics improved to 26-6 at home. That now ties Florida for 5th in home winning percentage all time in the SFL. Of course, Florida's been around a little while longer, but Canton putting themselves in the upper echelon, but just needs a championship to signify that they are the real deal. Final minute of this one, Charles. Is Logan Lee the player of the game?
Oh, come on. Yeah. Yes, he's definitely the player of the game, but you got to give balls out to that offensive line as well. I mean, they were blocked. Well, you know what? All of the blockers on offense, and they do that every game. I've said it. Every time I watch them, they just seal out the edge and they seal the inside, and you rarely see them whiff on an assignment.
Next week, Canton hosts Motor City. Good luck, V8s. That is Sunday at 6:45 p.m. Eastern. Florida has a bye before they are next in action. Can you believe it, Charles? In 2 weeks, right back here on Monday night with a 2-game losing streak, hosting now currently undefeated Arizona. That's in 2 weeks. So Florida has a full 14 days to prepare for that game. So we're going to be right back here calling Florida's next game, thinking, oh my gosh, could they have a 3-game losing streak, or will Arizona's undefeated streak be over? So don't miss the next couple of Monday nights. We've got some good ones. Canton wins 20-0 in a championship rematch that I would say, Charles, did not really live up to the hype. Shockingly enough, that was a dominant performance. 133 total yards for Florida. And I want to go to that defense for Canton. Kanye Rockefeller, 10 tackles. Kevin Brackett, Mark Gronick, Mike All combined for 4 sacks in that one. Your final thoughts before we kick it to Tyler and Curtis for their final reactions tonight.
A dominating game by Canton. They played great on both sides of the ball, but man, that running game for Canton, and that was a statement to the rest of the league. I mean, you got to line up and try and stop us because we're going to run it right down your throat. And Florida had no answer whatsoever.
Florida shut out for the first time in their franchise's history, 217 games. For Charles Doherty, I'm Cameron Irvine, Rochelle Colston, and Tyler Falk in our stats truck. Now let's rejoin Chris Curtis and Tyler Falk back at SFL Studios for Postgame. Take it away, gentlemen.
And with that, it is a 20-0 game that the Canton Classes come through and put the beating to the Florida Storm. Chris Curtis alongside Tyler Falk in the post game. And Tyler, this game did not seem like a traditional Florida Storm game. They managed 133 yards of total offense. They could not stop the run, which is typically one of their calling cards. Is it too... okay, so removing any bias from the whole 2-10 thing, okay? Is it time to panic in Fort Lauderdale?
I think the last 2 games for Florida were one of the 2 toughest on the schedule now in hindsight, because you have all this momentum coming into Carolina. All of a sudden, Carolina punches you in the mouth. Now you have to regroup because someone's figured you out. You figure Canton's going to figure it out, and indeed they did. Canton did this against the number 1 rushing defense in the league, who had only allowed 68 yards on average on the ground coming into tonight. And the Canton defense is no joke. Yes, they might give up a few, a lot of passing yards, but they're also a top 5 rushing defense as well. So that rushing attack, the over-reliance on the run, snuffed out any chance Florida had tonight. And not being able to rely on a balanced attack really hurt Florida. As far as just pure tenacity goes, yes, it is time to go back to the drawing board for a bye week to come out against Arizona, who is now the toughest team besides Canton, and now trying to figure out them.
So
if Florida cannot get past Arizona, you're looking at, I mean, maybe mid-table in terms of the playoff seeding.
Mhm.
And now you look at your own division, where you had a comfortable lead coming into last week. Now, the difference between first place in that East Division and last place in that East Division is only 2 games. It's the tightest division in the entirety of the SFL, with Florida at 6-2 and Atlanta at 4-4, making it it's everything's coming together. And unlike a 2-10 prediction, this is coming up gold. East is looking like the toughest division this season.
It's looking like the toughest division to predict. I think the South is still far and away the toughest division in the SFL right now. But I digress. A couple things of note. One, Florida was beaten tonight, and they were beaten differently than how Carolina beat them a week ago. Carolina, through all of their faults on offense, have had a not so stellar passing game, and they beat Florida with the passing game a week ago. Now, Florida seemingly works on the passing game, and then they get absolutely torched by the 3-headed monster in Canton, and that's a huge thing. They gave, like, I think it was 240 rushing yards tonight, is the number that I saw, which is not a small number. 330 total yards for the Canton offense, and 240 of them at least on the ground. So that's something to take a look at. And so this bye week for Florida could not have come at a better time to, and you said it right, go back to the drawing board, get themselves ready for an Arizona team that's absolutely going to be looking at both of those game plans that Carolina put together, that Florida put together, and seeing maybe a hybrid of the two, seeing which one's going to work. But I mean, Florida's up. This is the most adversity we've seen them have in quite a while.
I can't remember a time, even last season, when they lost 2 in a row. You have to go back a couple seasons just to look at this, and I think this is a good learning curve for Florida to try and make something happen. Yes, you have to go all the way back to season 20, the last season in the old era, and now it's just, this is where good coaching comes into play, because we know how good of a coach Mighty is, and we know that he understands and anticipates an even better coaching matchup against Arizona back home in Fort Lauderdale in 2 weeks' time. It's must-watch football in Week 11 between Arizona and Florida.
Yeah, you have to. It's absolute must-watch. You're right. And if there's anybody that can handle this kind of adversity, it is Mighty. So let's see how he responds, and let's have him remind us why he's one of the best coaches in this league and has been for a long time. So we'll put that to bed. The Canton Classics do win the game 20-0, and they remain atop or in the upper echelon of the SFL's playoff table as it sits. Let's look ahead to a mighty feisty week number 10 on the horizon. And I say that because there are a bunch of matchups here that you're kind of licking your chops trying to get at. Let's start with Friday. I'll list the matchups. You tell me which one you want to see and why. It is Nashville-Charleston. That is that's the debut game for week number 10. That's the flex in for Mike Daggs and Gerald Smith after the Matt Wilson weekly pregame show. That one happens on a Friday night. Then it's the nightcap, the doubleheader. Vancouver-Albuquerque is happening. That one, Vancouver heads to New Mexico to take them on, and then Chicago to Fort Worth. Give me your matchup to watch for Friday, and I'll give you mine.
Oh, I'm going to take the Monday Night Spectacular. Let's go right back to this East Division. And just like I'm telling you, Florida slips up again tonight, back-to-back losses. And now...
I'm talking just Friday.
Just
Friday.
Yeah, Nashville-Charleston.
You talking? Oh, okay. Okay. Continue. My bad.
Yeah, okay. That Nashville-Charleston. Florida slips up, giving these two teams a chance to really come and stake their claim for now a potential lead of the division, that being Nashville. Yes, even with a win, Nashville would still be in second place in the division because they have lost to Florida. However, it puts them in the driver's seat should Florida step up and fall again. So Nashville, an expansion team, trying to do what Minnesota did in their expansion season and make a division push. And what better opportunity to go into Charleston against another team who has really come on strong as of late. Yes, a loss just last week, but Nashville's hot. This is a game, and it's a perfect game for Mike and Gerald to break down.
Yeah, completely agree with that. Charleston has really not had a huge signature win in their belt, and arguably a win against Nashville may not be that win, but they just have to keep it going because they can prove themselves at a later time. You got to take care of the games you're supposed to win at this point, and it's still going to be looking like a good one out in South Carolina. Let's go to Vancouver and Albuquerque. That's the one I'm going to be looking at for that Friday night. Vancouver comes in at 3-4, Albuquerque at 3-4. Both of them looking up at Arizona in that division. I don't know that they're going to catch Arizona, don't get me wrong, but at this point you have to win games against your division. There's a new rivalry out there. Albuquerque and Vancouver are definitely slated for it in that division. And when you look at it, Vancouver hasn't missed the playoffs since the Reagan administration. So they really need a win to keep that alive. And Albuquerque, the upstart, has had a couple of very signature games, including a win over Fort Worth earlier this season. So they, at home, you would think that Vancouver has the experience advantage, but Albuquerque at home has played very well in front of their home fans. That should be a fun one to watch. Let's move over to Saturday. You take a look, we have Queen City, Indianapolis, DC, Lexington, Baltimore, Bossier City, and LA, Mexico City. Go ahead and give me your game that you're watching on that slate.
I got to go DC and Lexington because it's a matter of will we see or won't we see the offenses for either of these two teams show up, because Lexington's been hot and cold. They've been really good, even in close losses, and they've been really bad in bad losses at the same time. They just picked up another win this past weekend. And now can they go against DC, who started the season 1-4 and now have really strived to get back into contention with a 3-win streak? Who shows up? Whose defense is going to play as normally as they possibly can, which both defenses are pretty good, pretty underrated good. But it's the offenses that will decide the day. Will they show up is the question on my mind for either team.
Fair enough. I'm going to give you a surprise, but I'm also going to give you a fairly easy one. I'm going to split mine half and half. Baltimore Bossier City is the one I'm paying attention to on this particular day. Bossier City has made a game against teams that they have no business being competitive against in theory as an expansion squad. This is another big test for them. However, they're at home. That's something to take into account. Baltimore has had slip-ups this season, and but they're still Baltimore, and that they'll be ready to play. And Bossier City, I mean, it's a big fight feel going to be in Louisiana on that day. The other one I'm looking at, this might be one of Queen City's last chance to get a win in season 12. And I say that not as a drag on Indianapolis, but what I will say is that Indianapolis has a very Jekyll and Hyde feel and has had that all season long. So that might be your sleeper game. And I think Indianapolis, unless they take care of business, is on upset alert against Queen City. So keep that in mind going there. Sunday slate looks like this: Arizona, Denver, Motor City, Canton, Carolina, Atlanta. We'll take our game out of it for bias reasons. And then Louisiana, Pittsburgh. It rounds out the Sunday night slate. So of the three games that we are not in, Tyler, which one are you looking at?
How much I want to talk about Atlanta and Carolina, more from a neutral perspective, than more from a media personality standpoint than a personality. But I'll digress. I already said my piece about where I think Atlanta's headed over on the Streets Are Talking.
There you go.
Discord. Anywho, to the games that I'm gonna watch. I want to watch Denver, Arizona.
Okay.
You're talking sleeper games. Denver could easily pull a sleeper here on Arizona, whereas Arizona could easily be thinking week 11 Florida at this point and licking their chops for that. I know Eddie is not going to be overlooking Denver. However, this is easily a chance for Denver to finally get back into maybe a wild card contention with a massive win over Arizona. What that would do for their playoff chances if things were to continue to go their way. It has to start here if you're Denver. If you're looking for any game on your schedule, it's a divisional opponent who currently has no losses in their loss column.
They certainly would have a Rocky Mountain high coming off of that win should they get it. Their strength of victory would be through the roof, no doubt about that. Looking at the other games going on, I'm looking at Louisiana-Pittsburgh. That game, while on paper, doesn't seem like it would be a barn burner. It is two competitive teams in similar spots as far as record, maybe not the same. Louisiana has a little bit of an edge, but that said, I put these two kind of in the same category as far as ability and talent on the field. Maybe not so much in the coaching room, but that just comes with experience. Still could be a really good game. Pittsburgh at home in the Steel City, going up against Louisiana. Louisiana has to fight that Pittsburgh crowd and try to establish their game plan. Tommy Utah has had more downs, I think, than ups this season, so he could really use a big road win to maybe vault his Revs back into at least the lower seed playoff picture, and that's what I'm looking for on that Saturday or on that Sunday. So then we talk just briefly Minnesota-Houston. It's the Monday Night Spectacular. You and I, in theory, should be here for it next week. The playoff rematch that ended up going to overtime. And this is a good one, another good one on paper. Houston, Josh Slapp and company, he's been dynamic and has been all season long. Minnesota has been good in their own right. Where do you see this one shaking out?
Oh, this is going to be a good test for Minnesota on the road. They have been okay at home. They've been 3-0 at home, but they've been 2-2, a little shaky here on the road. And if Houston's offense, now with an extra week in their arsenal to really come up with a solid game plan against Minnesota, who is typically tough on the rushing defense, if they can pull out just something like Canton did tonight, Minnesota might be in trouble for losing that game. I think it'll be a much better Monday night game in terms of watch factor this week than unfortunately it was this week. So I'd expect Houston to give Minnesota a good game and give us a good game to watch as well.
As long as Mickey Manolo doesn't start punching people in the face in the Sasquatch costume, we'll think we'll be all right. So much love, Mickey. Much love. No big deal. Any users, I think we're all set. I think that handles a pretty eventful week number 9 in the case of the game that was. Florida goes down 20-0 at the hands of the Canton Classics, which was a surprise score on my bingo card for sure. And we come into a week 10 where the playoffs just a few short weeks away. For Tyler Falk and the rest of the Monday Night crew, I'm Chris Curtis saying goodbye and good night from Canton, Ohio. And we will see you for week 10 in just a few days' time.